Today's episode of In the Trenches is brought to you by System 12 Guitar Method. Sign up today at RyanRoxie.com.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Hello, and welcome to another live stream episode of In the Trenches. I am your host, Ryan Roxie. What can I say about today? It's a great one. Thanks for showing up. We've got a day off on tour. As you can see from the background, insert hotel room anywhere. It's not a green screen. This is a real thing. That's a real suitcase. And that's a touring tip 101. Just put the bag right on the bed. But we now have crossed the border into Canada, and we are about 2/3 of the way of this leg one of the tour with Alice Cooper. And we're having a great time with the boys in Buck Cherry out there and rocking and rolling every night. Everyone that's been showing up to the shows, thank you so much. Everyone that's been following the Instagram on my public one, as well as our all access deal. That's been great. The all access extra sort of stuff, time that I get to spend with you each and every day. That's really cool. Leg 1 is officially sold out, but there will be a leg 2 coming up. But guess what? Enough about me. First thing you got to do, first of all, if this is your first time watching In the Trenches, hit that subscribe button right there on our YouTube official channel. We appreciate you being on Facebook Live, and we appreciate you listening to us on any audio platform, but we really want you on our YouTube channel and subscribing so you can be in our live chat, which our live chat is alive and well today, and for good reason. You can be part of the show as well. We even have a couple people hanging out backstage here, which is quite cool, from the All Access bunch. Want a quick shout out to Flora Lee. You know what? I always say the name, I mistakenly say that name. But it's time to dive into the trenches. Are you ready? Because it's what a treat, man. We have one of rock and roll's fastest upcoming bands. I remember the guitarist coming to the Alice Cooper shows as a kid with her mom. And now she's playing those very same stages. And she's kicking ass on them as well. And many of you would probably remember the lead singer from her time with The Voice. In a relatively short matter of time, the band has built up a dedicated following, formidable airplay, and have supported some of the world's biggest rock bands. Here to talk about that success, that dedication, and that love for rock and roll, would you please welcome into the trenches Moriah and Bella from the band Plush. Hello, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
Well, thanks for putting up with that really long introduction. I mean, when we're on the road, there's just so much stuff to cover, and we didn't have a podcast last week because we were at Paisley Park. We went to go see Prince's Paisley Park as a band tour, and that was quite cool because we were in the Minnesota area. And I just want to say right out of the gate, Plush, congrats. You might be one of the first post-pandemic bands, right? PPDs or PPBs. I don't know. because all of this stuff that's taken off for you with Plush has happened, either right before the pandemic, and now you're kind of just busting out of it post-pandemic, or, hopefully, fingers crossed, post-pandemic, all that kind of stuff. But tell us a little bit what it's like. Moriah, we start with you, to form this band, and what steps you took in order to get Bella in the band as well, and how did it all begin?
Yeah, so the way that all began was, it was probably the end, it was like right before the pandemic happened, actually. And I was, I had like a solo thing going on, like, as you mentioned, like after The Voice, I had a solo thing going on, which was great. And I had a lot of great experiences. And, with that band, I got to do some really fun things, but I just wasn't 100% happy with what I was doing. And I just, when I was little, everybody that I looked up to it was always bands. I always saw myself being a part of a band, and that was something that I just thought, it was time, to be part of a real band, for lack of a better term. And so right around the same time as the pandemic hit, of course, I was at home all day, on social media, because like, what else are you going to do? And I came across Brooke drum videos, and I was like, wow, like this girl is ridiculous. And I thought that it was so crazy that she was 16 too at the time.
Right.
And I found out that she didn't live too far from me. And the two of us got together through a mutual venue, and we ended up jamming, and the chemistry was just instant, not only as musicians, but as friends too. And it was just something that felt really special. And then we were like, okay, let's try this. Let's really have a go at this and try to be a band. And Brooke at that point had introduced me to Ashley, our bass player, who I think the two of them had done the School of Rock program together a few years prior.
Gotcha.
And then the three of us got together, and we had a little jam sesh. And again, the chemistry was just, I fell in love with Ashley as well. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like this chemistry is freaking slamming, man.
And Ashley, just by the way, was supposed to be on the podcast with us. We would have been sort of 4 squares instead of 3, but she has some jury duty. So she is fulfilling her civic duty out there. But we'll make sure we get you guys back on as the full band at some point. So you have these 3 pieces, and then you have that 4th ingredient in Bella. And how did that come around?
So I was actually, same deal, mid-pandemic, just on my phone. And I was on Instagram and I came across an ad that Lizzie Hale had shared saying, her friend Moriah is looking for a female guitar player from the Northeast. And so I was looking at like their social media pages, and kind of similar to like when you came across Brooke's video of just like, holy, like these girls are insane, just the talent's ridiculous. So I emailed their manager like right away and just introduced myself and sent in an audition video. And I think like literally the next day, Moriah and I were talking. And then a couple weeks after, I came down to New York and we started jamming, and just the chemistry was unreal, like from the first practice, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, since then it's kind of just been this crazy roller coaster.
Nice. Well, I'm hopefully I got all of that. Vic, give me a thumbs up if we got all audio and everything's good. Okay, because I'm getting a little bit of that Winnipeg sort of Wi-Fi that got a little jumbled on there on that last answer, but no worries, because we are hanging out with the rock band Plush, finding out how things began. And you know what? I should have run this animation before, because that's how we start every single show, because we are talking about the history of Plush. So let's go back to get forward with Plush. All right, it's one of those days for me, folks. Just bear with me, because we are on tour, and again, you can tell hotel room, pretty nondescript somewhere in Winnipeg, but I can't always rely on the pandemic. The girls are telling us about how they started the band Plush, and they were on their phones, on the internet. Exactly. I started a podcast. That's exactly the same reasons that we all do it. It gave you some time to really practice and get together as a band, because you couldn't tour. You were actually forming recording wise. How did those first demos come about? How did those first recordings come about? And who, if anybody, took you under their wing to get the songs all in shape and get the production together? How did that work out going into the studio? Moriah?
Yeah, so I had been working with Johnny K, and getting some songs and just kind of bouncing off of him, like, what songs do you think are album worthy? So we worked up on the songs, and Johnny just really is so incredible. Like, he's so genius, and his vision just completely aligned with ours. And it really was just such a smooth process. I mean, we went to Nashville and, um, within that first week, we really just, drums were done within like a week. Um, we had guitars laid down a little bit, like some rhythms and stuff. And, we really had like the skeletons of the song, if you will, or like the bass, the basses. And then we went to Chicago to do vocals and overdubs and, lead parts, solos. And it really was just a very smooth sailing process. And, some of the songs were just riffs, like I know our song Athena was just a riff when we got in the studio. And we really had to sit with that one for a little while and, with Johnny and just kind of really just write the whole entire song there in the studio. And that's what we did.
It's such a killer riff.
You.
I've been listening to him this morning and the last couple of days actually, just been getting into the music. We're going to talk about the new single. I believe it's called "Better Off Alone." Right? Am I correct with that?
Yes,
correct.
And that came out. So I'm just wondering, Moriah, did the experience that you had working in whether it was the Voice or whether it was even earlier in high school, you were part of a group called the Modern Day Music. And tell us a little bit about that, because it seems like that sort of formed, part of the basis and gave you that experience and gave your voice, I guess, more of a maturity than you would expect out of most debut bands coming out. You have a seasoned voice. So tell us about Modern Day Music and how that came about.
So Modern Day Music is, but it's a music school, and it's for everything. I mean, piano, guitar, bass, vocals. I mean everything. You can go there to, and I, around like 9 or 10, I was just figuring out that I could sing, and I wanted to learn how to use my voice properly. And so my parents were just like, because I was a really shy kid, so like a lot of the time my parents would see that I liked to do something and they would have to like kind of nudge me and be like, hey, you should do this if you like this. And so they were like, we're going to set up voice lessons for you. And if you like it, we'll continue with it. And if you don't, then that's fine. And one day I think we were at the parent teacher store or something, some random place. And there was a flyer on there and it said, Modern Day Music. And my parents were like, Moriah, look, like this is perfect for you. And the place was only like 20 minutes from my house too. And so I started taking voice lessons there, and that, the rest was history. I mean, I kept on taking voice lessons there up until like this year, honestly, because like, touring and stuff, but I just loved it there. And they had this band program, where they take the the students and group them in bands together. And that was really just such a great, I mean, really, it was like a career defining moment for me, because I got the first taste of what it was like to play in a band, with
Right.
other musicians and like-minded people who, love to play the same music. And it was just so much fun, because there wasn't like it's a music school, but it's not like they're like, in the bands, you get to pick whatever songs you want to cover. So it's really just a free flowing, and there's a band director, which is one of the teachers, but
Right.
they're really there to help guide you and help to rehearse the songs. But as far as
So
that,
provided a
kids
good
really got
foundation.
freedom.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a great foundation, honestly. Can't
there
say
you
enough
go.
good things about Modern Day Music.
Moriah has Modern Day Music. Bella, I want to move on to you and what got you interested in playing guitar, because you guys didn't meet at that music school. What were your early influences, and what got you into being on stage that you are right now?
Yeah, so I think, like, my first one was, like, my dad plays guitar and owns a music store, and growing up,
Ah,
like, his recording studio was in our basement, so I was just always around it. So it was kind of just normal for me to be like, "Okay, after school, I'm gonna, hang out at the store for a while, then come home and there's a client recording in the basement," and that's just normal, you know? So I was just always around, music all the time, and then because of that, like, in both of my parents being huge into rock, I was, like, really early on, like, my favorite band was Kiss, and I love, like, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin. So Kiss was kind of the first band that, I think I was, like, 8 between 3 and 5, that I just thought, like, Ace Frehley was, like, the coolest human alive, with, like, all the imagery and the smoking guitar and all that, and I was like, "That's what I wanna do." So, it was actually for, my 5th birthday, my parents got me my first guitar, and I took lessons at my dad's store all the way up until I was 18. So, it was kinda just always being around music for me, really. And then along the way too, discovering all these bands either through my parents or through, friends or teachers, and just totally expanding my taste through that.
there was a little bit of Alice Cooper in there too, wasn't
Oh,
there?
yeah, a lot.
Because we have some sort of there's a definite connection between Plush and the Alice Cooper band, and hopefully someday we'll get you guys out on the road with us. There you go. Am I wearing the same exact hat? I know I have that same bandana that I'm wearing, but that's Bella and Bella's mom, and there you go at one of the rock shows up in the Northeast. And I think that might have actually been with the Ace Frehley band, or one of those shows, because I know that we have toured with Ace in the past many, many times, and we're going to tour on this tour. Oh wow, that's cool. That's at a rock and roll parking lot
That's
early
such a
on.
cute picture.
Yeah, I think that was on the Motley Crue tour, like, that might have been the first time I saw you guys, I
I
think.
can definitely tell you that's a 2016, maybe no 2015, because of the Les Paul that I was playing at that point.
Oh, gotcha.
Um, you know, uh, so there are definitely similarities in that run through the Alice Cooper band and Plush. I know that your drummer has been mentored a bit by Glenn Sobel. They've actually
Oh,
had some
no way.
lessons together as well, because he was saying, or they've had some sort of, um, definitely trading off some sort of knowledge and experience in lessons and stuff. And I know that she follows his stuff, because he was basically saying, "Oh yeah, I know the drummer of Plush. We so there you go. So, but every drummer, everybody, every drummer knows everybody. I mean, do you find that like the drummer community is very tight knit and very close? What about the guitar playing sort of community? How are you treated? And let's be honest here. How are you treated by the sort of male dominated guitar world, as far as you embark on all these tours with really, really high level guitarists such as Slash? How have they been treating you guys on the road?
They've been amazing. I was definitely going into it, like, as wasn't sure what to expect, but especially, like, Slash or Jen Majura, or when we met Nita in Nashville, everyone has been so cool and down to earth and welcoming, and especially, like, touring, that's such a great environment, and I really just can't say enough great things for all the bands, like, on all of our tours up until this point, like, taking us under their wing, and, really just being so welcoming to us.
Love it. And Mariah, you having the same
Yeah.
experience as well with singers as well? Because I know that you have a very cool connection with Lizzie Hale, who, guitarist, singer, songwriter, is just like you. How are those relationships sort of uh, growing?
Yeah, I mean, same thing as Bella said. I mean, everybody has just been so, especially Lizzie and Amy. They just have been so welcoming, and like when we toured with them, you could tell that they knew 100% that it was our first big tour, and probably that we were all very nervous, and very you know uh just trying to find our place in that huge world. And they just did everything that they could to make sure that we felt welcome and you know, safe and just at home, and, you know, to give us advice. And really everybody's just been so kind and welcoming. I have yet to have any negative experiences with anyone, really.
Well, Vic, if you go back to that shot just now with Plush and Hailstorm, don't you think it would look kind of cool too to have the Alice Cooper logo somewhere in there, and that would be a good tour? What do you guys think?
That would be amazing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? That would be sick. I might have to steal one of his boa constrictors though.
Well, those are the remaining dates of our Alice Cooper tour right now, and we are ending the tour up with Ace Frehley. So you know, everything sort of blends together in rock and roll, as well as the instruments that we do play. I always say that we play the guitars that our guitar heroes play. The reason why I play Cherry Burst Les Paul on stage is because of Ace Frehley. Bella, is there a certain guitar that you play because of a certain other guitar hero that you had?
Yeah, I play Ibanez RGs, and I have an Ibanez gem actually right behind me as well.
There it is.
Because of Steve Vai, and Ibanez in general because of Vai and Satriani. Those are two of my heroes. Definitely, probably when I was getting a little older, like middle school age, and I was really getting into instrumental music, and all that stuff just blew me away and totally kind of made me like just re-envision guitar playing, you know? And it's, yeah, definitely has a huge impact on me now today with like what gear I play. And I'm honored to be endorsed by Ibanez and being able to play the guitars that my heroes play.
Nice. And Moriah, how about you? What do you feel about guitars that you play, and, you know, who your guitar heroes and bass heroes are across the board?
So my guitar hero was Joe Perry. He was the reason that I wanted to pick up guitar. So I play ESP because actually one of my other favorite guitar players is Brian Head Welch, and he plays ESP. And, that's how I kind of got into the world of ESP. And so I love, ESP because Brian Head Welch. And when I saw the clips, in the EC series that they have, I'm like, oh man, that Les Paul, it's like a perfect marriage between like Brian Head Welch and Joe Perry, Yeah. So that's kind of my guitar stuff.
I said bass only because when we went full screen, I saw you have a bass in the background. And is that for demo purposes or?
Yeah. Yeah. This is for demo purposes. This is just my like crappy little like $90 Ibanez bass that I use for like little demos and whatever, just like scratch tracks.
Nicely done.
I've had the same strings on it since I got it.
Vibey. I say that's vibey. So, hey, girl, what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a very quick break, and then we're going to come back with some more questions from the audience. We have, again, Nick from Sticks and Stones. Floralee is obviously backstage as well. They're part of our All Access group. You'll meet them after the show right now. But we'd like to talk a little bit about the sound that you're hearing me speak through, these Beyerdynamic mics, one of our sponsors, as well as what I get to listen to you guys from and what I will be listening to your videos after the podcast is over. So let's have a quick commercial break. We're here with Moriah and Bella from the band Plush. You're here with Ryan Roxie in the Trenches. Hit it, Vic. Hello, Ryan Roxie here, host of the In the Trenches podcast, and I also play guitar for Alice Cooper. I just wanted to take a second to talk about what mic you're hearing me speak through and what headphones I choose to listen to all my audio with. My go-to podcast and live performance mic is this TG V70 dynamic vocal mic. And when I'm recording acoustic stuff, I'll always mic it up with the Beyerdynamic M160 double ribbon mic. I listen to everything with the DT 1770 Pro headphones unless I'm out and about. That's when the Eventho wireless headphones really make listening to music, podcasts, or any other audio app that's on my phone ultra high fidelity and latency free. Check out their official site or the links below in the description of this video to find out more about what makes Beyerdynamic a musician's choice in pro audio mics and headphones. Now, let's get back into the trenches for some more rock and roll. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the ride. We are here with Bella and Moriah from the rock band Plush. And guess what, folks? It is time for the main event.
Are you ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
There you go. Thank you very much, Vic Chalfant, for laying down all these great animation and as well as putting up all these great photos. And you can only see all of this production value if you are on our YouTube official channel. So go to Ryan Roxie Official on YouTube and be part of the live chat as well. Appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch and listen to us. And obviously appreciate both Moriah and Bella for making it into the trenches. Let's talk about your new single that's out now called Better Off Alone. You released it in January 2022. With that single, it's starting to open up many, many doors for you in touring. Tell us how the song came about and what how the video and has been accepted and sort of promoted, and how you're getting all these amazing support slots for promoting the band. Whoever wants to take it, Moriah or Bella?
Well, so yeah, so it seems to be being, received pretty well. I mean, I'm very, very happy that, people can connect with it, and that it's, been helping us get all these opportunities that I never, really saw happening anytime soon. I just, it's awesome. Like the fact that we're about to go out with Seven Dust is like, it's just, I mean, it's crazy. And as far as the video, I think it's being received pretty well. I mean, I would hope so. I think it is. But yeah, and the song is about just, a relationship and a person that you are doing, you feel like you try to give the world to, and, please them and be there for them. And, you're breaking your back for this person. And it's like, no matter what, everything's turned around on you, and it's manipulative. And, somehow they always end up pissed off. So, it's like, all right, well, I'm just better off alone.
Well, like your voice, there's a sense of maturity that is well beyond the years of actually how old you are. Are those songs coming from the heart? Are they coming from experience, or are you sometimes taking a backseat as a third person and watching a situation and just sort of documenting that?
It's usually it is from personal experience. And sometimes I do like to write from like a, third person perspective, but mostly it's usually like personal experiences and stuff like that.
And usually what happens when a song like this takes place and it sort of comes together, I would imagine you'll demo it up with that Ibanez bass in the background that you have, and then you'll present it to the band. And then will you guys, for instance, will you send the demos to Bella, and then she'll hash out some parts that she wants to put on? And then because you guys do live far apart from each other, you'll maybe, will everything be done online in that putting the song together, or will you actually do it face to face, Bella?
So like, I think the end goal is to do it all face to face, but since I'm pretty far away, like for the whole process of the album, like all the demos were sent to me, and kind of I would just hash through and try like anything out on my own, and kind of have, like a mental list going of all these different ideas of parts I could do, or solo ideas, or, what if we changed this guitar part or whatever. And kind of just brainstorming as much as I could before we all got into the rehearsal space. Because especially before we went to Nashville, it was a pretty tight schedule where I think we had like maybe like 4 days to like rehearse everything before we went into the studio. So I think like all of us kind of were brainstorming on our own, or we'd text, like videos back and forth of like, what do you think of this idea? And then once we all got together, you could definitely get a better feel of the vibe of the song and how all these different, parts and ideas can fit together. And
Yep.
then definitely once we got into the studio, it was a lot of kind of like trial and error and just experimenting with different parts or all these different ideas to really write the song in like
But you guys took the preparation from the beginning, so you were definitely prepared before, but then open up to change once you got in the studio.
Definitely, yeah. I think for pretty much every song, there's lots of parts where it's like, or especially like coming from a guitar perspective, like, like more like extra parts I could have added or more notes and stuff. And I learned a lot about really just pulling back and playing for the song and how the guitar can fit when you have such a powerful vocalist and drummer and bass player and backing vocals and all this too. So it was definitely a lot of trying different things out and then seeing it all kind of come together and all of us finding our different roles like as a writer in the band,
Nice. Well, the thing is now that the songs that are being presented live and you're getting to perform them in front of some amazing audiences that, that are coming out to see acts like Mammoth, WVH, Daughtry, Hailstorm, Evanescence, and you just mentioned that you're going to go on tour really shortly with Seven Dust. Moriah, what songs are you, or maybe either both of you, but I'll start with Moriah. Are there any songs in particular that you see are popping out as becoming artist or audience favorites?
I would say, I think that, well, definitely our cover of Barracuda. It's the only cover that we play in the set, but like, obviously that's going to be, it's very much a turning point in our shows because, a lot of people don't know our music. And so when you whip out that song, it's like, oh, yeah, this song, we know that song. And so the energy really from that point on in the show is just awesome. But
where do you drop it in? Do you drop it in the beginning, halfway through?
It's about
quarters?
Halfway, I think. I don't know, right, Bella? Or maybe.
Yeah, it's like right halfway, I think.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, so I would say definitely Barracuda. As far as Plush songs, I think that Sober and maybe Hate and like Champion would be the fan favorites, the crowd favorites.
And you, Bella, you seen the same sort of thing?
Yeah, pretty much. Like something that really stood out to me, especially on the Slash tours, it was funny with how we'd have Barracuda in the middle of the set, and it was just a total turning point for the whole show because you could see the room light up of like everyone was like, "Hey, I know that one."
Yeah.
After that, like they were
everyone knows that flanger sound, no doubt about it. We've actually had Roger Fisher on the podcast before, the guy that played that
awesome.
exactly that flanger sound.
Yeah.
You know what? Total cred, street cred, if either of you can guess what year that song Barracuda came out. It's pretty easy if you know me.
77.
There you go. You know me. 1977 off the little Queen album. All right, Moriah, I just became your biggest fan. Love it. Yeah. And you know that I'm in Canada, folks, because this is not one of our sponsors, but I'm drinking Tim Hortons coffee right now. We're hanging out with the lead vocalist, lead guitar player, Moriah and Bella of the band Plush. We wish we could have the other two on it, but you know what? Our paths will cross somewhere on this wacky world of rock and roll right now. Hopefully, because we were talking, we're in Canada right now and headed across the North America tour, but then leg 2 starts in about a month for us, or a couple of weeks. And we're going to go to Europe. And we were talking about you guys. The band Plush has not performed Europe yet, but I can imagine you're looking very much forward to doing that. And are there any, has there been any whispers, any talk about Plush getting over to Europe?
There's been plenty of talk about it from our camp of definitely like, the biggest concern at first was like traveling with the pandemic overseas. And then, our schedule got so busy with US touring. And I'm so glad we were able to really establish that and get the hang of touring a bit before going overseas. But definitely at this point, it's kind of talked about a lot and definitely one of our main goals for going into 2023.
Nice. And the other thing, Moriah, for you, because I'm looking at the bands that you guys are supporting and touring with. You just got off the road with Slash's Slash, and it's got the longest name of all time. Slash featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. And we are actually in Winnipeg. We are in the hometown of Brent Fitz. So I don't know if there's anything you want me to say to Brent, because we might be seeing him tonight. So, but you have bands.
I love you.
There it is. We will pass on your love to Brent a little bit later. But you are opening and supporting bands like Slash, Hailstorm, Seven Dust, and then I see Daughtry. So the spectrum of music that you guys are actually able to fit in with is quite wide. Do you enjoy playing in front of the heavier bands, or do you enjoy playing in front of the more poppier, more mainstream rock bands? What's your favorite audience to play in front of, or just anybody that reacts to Plush?
It's been so interesting to going into it and opening for all these different bands and seeing the different response. Like one that really stood out to me for sure was the Hailstorm Evanescence tour, because everyone there was already, huge fans of like women in rock and love the sound of those bands. And I think, you can definitely tell we're influenced by them. But I mean, I feel like every different type of headlining act has its own following, and it's super interesting to see. But I'm definitely like, I don't know, the ones that kind of stand out to me the best are like the heavier crowds, because you can so tell everyone's just so passionate about the music and that the crowd really feels like a family. Like that's definitely what I noticed the last time we opened up for Seven Dust.
Love it. And Moriah, if you had to choose between supporting, well, obviously you'd choose headlining, but if you're going to do these great support gigs, would you opt for more the heavier audience? Maybe that makes you sing harder, so that is harder, or do you like more of the mainstream rock, or does it matter?
I gotta agree with Bella 100%. Like the heavier crowds are just, for me, it's where it's at, because like Bella said, I mean, I just feel like there's for me personally, like there's so much more of a sense of passion in those crowds, and they just, I just feel like they're so happy to be there, and it's just like, it's like one big metal family, then
I can hardly wait till you guys get to Europe, because it is that exact same way, but it's with an accent, and everybody's, and everybody's very much into it. As you can tell, the In the Trenches group is all over the world. We have a lot of people watching you guys right now in Europe, so they are waiting for Plush to conquer Europe as well, as you guys are doing a great job doing that in the States. Right now, we would like to move to a little section of the show where we celebrate our fan of the week. And right now, fan of the week, I will let Vic set up the animation, put it up, and then I'll... There it is. Brian Erickson. I hope you guys can hear me, because I just got booted out of my own. Okay, you guys say you can hear me. But yeah, like I said, I'm in a Winnipeg hotel room. I don't know. The Wi-Fi, whenever we put up animation, everything gets all whacked out. But Brian Erickson, he's been on all of our shows this last week, supporting in the front row. So you are our fan of the week, supporting out the Alice Cooper Band, as well as all things Roxie. And there you go. There's that Flying V. There's that same guitar that I was posing with Bella a little bit earlier in the show. And yeah, Congratulations, Brian. If you'd like to be a In the Trenches fan of the week or a Ryan Roxie fan of the week, just start supporting it and start spreading this episode of Plush in the Trenches. Never let the truth get in the way of the good story. Let's dispel the rumors now. Let's dispel the rumors and myths. Do female rock bands have it rougher than male rock bands? Either one of you can take this question.
You know, I feel like going into it, I was expecting it to be a lot more intense than it is, you know, like, I think, not to say I was expecting the worst, but I was expecting to, you know, be treated with some sort of disrespect. And I haven't run into that. So it makes me proud to be in the rock community because so many people have just like gone out of their way. I mean, doing the opposite, making sure we feel safe and making sure we're comfortable. And I've had headliners before come up and be like, "Hey, are you having fun?" And I'm like, "Yes, this is literally a dream come true." But I mean, about being a woman, like you'll hear comments from time to time, and the funny part is it's never to your face. It's just you'll hear it's like someone said it nearby you, and then
it's always in the comments. Do you guys read the comments or?
Oh my god, it cracks me up,
dude. We would have oh my gosh, we would have full blown conversations about comment sections. At practices, we'd be like, "Yo, did you see that one guy?" Yeah,
send screenshots to the group text, be like, "Check this one out."
Or oh my gosh, it was so funny. So one of our favorite platforms, one of our favorite group of commenters is Blabbermouth, right?
Oh.
And so it's just horrible for everyone. So we're like, okay, we literally got, and this is our group chat name because this was perfect when Blabbermouth had come out with the article when Plush was first being launched. It was the all female, people were making a big deal of the all female thing. I get it. And somebody in the comments goes, "Great, Chickleback." Instead of Nickelback. And they called it Chickleback. They were like, "Dude, this is the best thing in the whole entire world." So we definitely get a kick out of some of those comments. Somebody called us Flush.
Yeah.
See, I'm glad you're turning these comments into a positive thing, into a comedic thing, and maybe even a merch thing. I think Chickleback might be a really nice,
Oh my gosh, that's a good idea.
Merch,
Ryan with the merch ideas. Shoot.
Well, always. But here's the thing. Here's the ultimate burn: is the guy who came up with it gets 0. He gets 0% of it.
Mm-hmm.
You take all the credit. In fact, it could be a female that made the comment.
Who knows?
99.9% probably not, because isn't 99.9% of the people that make negative comments not females in on the internet and stuff? But it's funny to see that you guys, and it's cool to see that you guys are taking that stuff with a grain of salt. And I do find it funny that the whole comments thing, even at a live show, and I don't know if it's true for you guys, but I can see myself every once in a while. If 5,000 people are having a good time, why do I focus on the one person that doesn't seem to be having a good time? Do you guys do that sometimes?
I feel I don't know. It's definitely or I'll notice when it's other guitar players in the crowd because they're just staring at my fretboard, just this blank face, and it's I'm trying to entertain me. Work with me here.
Yeah, dude, I hate just singing and my eyes wander, and as we're playing, there's that one person who's just I'm I just yeah, right.
It happens.
On their phones.
It just makes me want to go in their face more and be like,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's true. I feel especially as human beings, we have such a tendency to focus on the one negative thing when it's just a sea of positives, So I know I definitely do. Sometimes.
Well, let's turn that negative thing into positives with, Tickleback t-shirts and what was the other one? Flush.
Flush.
I don't know, Flush.
Yeah.
That's so loaded right there. Let's move on a little bit more to equipment, because we're all guitar players here, and there are a lot of guitar players in the audience. If you're not one of them, then you could always become one, become part of the RGA, which is the Roxie Guitar Army, or you could become the PGA, the Plush Guitar Army, if you'd like. It doesn't matter to me as long as you're playing the guitar and getting inspired by it. We have Moriah and Bella here. Let's move on to a nice little segment we call The One That Got Away. Vic, do you have that right now? I know I'm giving you a lot of time to pick up. I think you guys might have opened up for that guy. You guys might have supported him, but or maybe that's the guy that made the comment. He's the one tickleback comment
the guy
guy
on his phone in the crowd. You never know.
Yeah.
But the one that got away, and I know that the band is relatively young. It doesn't have years and years and decades like Alice of touring experience, but you must have had a piece of equipment, a certain guitar, an amplifier, an effect, something that meant a lot to you and in your musical journey so far that you've had to either sell, got lost, perhaps it was stolen, or perhaps you just don't know where it is anymore. For you, I'll start with Moriah. What is that one that got away for you? Or is there? Maybe you're too young.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm such a sappy, like, oh, I gotta save this for the moments and the memories. I have like all my first guitars. Like I have my $20 Target guitar with a built-in amplifier in it from when I was like 5. Like I have my first ever Ibanez which was my first ever like real guitar that I got when I was,
What model was that?
Oh, it's I don't know. I actually don't know.
All right.
Shoot.
It was more than $20. It was more
I'm
than
a fake
$20.
fan. But actually, you know what? I do have one that got away now that I'm talking about all this.
All right.
One that got away was I had like a really crappy red and white Squire. Like those really like the $90 Squires, and they just never stay in tune.
A Squire Strat made in Mexico kind of sort of thing, right? It was a Stratocaster shape. Was it a Stratocaster shape, or did it have a single coil pickups, or what was it?
It was just like it was like a Strat, but it was like a really crappy version. It was like the really cheap ones that don't stay in tune, and like it just sounds like crap.
So why do you wish you had that back?
I don't know where. Actually, I don't wish I had that back. I just don't know where it went.
Maybe it's better off.
It just disappeared. It was like, all right, you don't want me, and it's clear, so I'm just gonna disappear.
Well, the animal that ran away. Now, Bella, do you have a one that got away for you?
I'm the same way with like I hold on to most of my gear. And I always I was literally this morning like debating like, do I want to sell some pedals? And it's like I know as soon as I sell it, I'm gonna be like, oh, that would have been perfect for this project. I mean, the only thing I can kind of think of is I had a Washburn, the Nuno Betancourt model. I believe it's the N1. It was like the lower end, like didn't have the floating trem or anything. But I would, do most of my practicing on that before I, got like more Ibanez RGs and all that. Oh yeah, there's me with Nuno, one of my heroes. But I love that it was like a thin neck, lightweight body like an Ibanez, but it didn't have the locking trem, so I could change tunings. So now it's like I'll be practicing. It's like, that would be nice, But I was
you'll see the more you tour, and once you start touring Europe, once you started going to Canada, something you might get misplaced and something. So then you will have one that got away at one point, because this is just the beginning. And I'm very happy to be talking to you guys. And I said this right before the podcast started. I get to speak to you guys right before it seems like there's a huge taking off pattern. You've obviously laid a lot of great groundwork with the singles that you've released so far, and you've done a lot of great touring, which can only get the band tighter. But I just see this trajectory, just about ready to take off. So I'm really happy that you were able to spend some time in the trenches with us today to sort of talk about it. And you said maybe this is one of your first long form podcasts that you've done, correct?
Yeah, we're so excited to be here.
That's
Yeah,
great.
this has been so much fun so far.
Well, cool. Well, let's keep it going on the up and up. All right. Let's get people to get in touch with you with all your socials and stuff, because that is where you guys keep on building and building the crowds, building the fans. And when you do come to Europe, you will have even a larger crowds that will start forming to support Plush. Let's Vic, let's put up everybody's there you go. I don't have to be in the shot as well, but who wants to go? Maybe we'll have Bella, being that you're on stage right over there. Why don't you, stage left actually, go through the people that are listening to us on the audio? What sort of platforms that they can find you at?
Yeah, so for our band page, our Instagram is at Plush Rocks, our Facebook is Plush Official, and Twitter is at Plush Rocks. And our website is plushrocks.net. And for my personal pages, on my Instagram, it's Bella.Perron, Facebook Bella Perron, and then Twitter is at Bella P Guitar.
There you go. And how about you there, Moriah? There you go. I was just going to ask you your last, how did the correct pronunciation of your last name? Now I don't have to. This is perfect.
Yeah, so I am just at Moriah Formica on all platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And yeah, as Bella said earlier, we are Plush Rocks on Instagram, Plush Official on Facebook, and at Plush Rocks on Twitter as well. And our website, plushrocks.net.
There you go. See, I told you, Vic, our producer, it's Formica, not Formica. So, you know, we had this big discussion. Formica, Moriah Formica, Bella Perron. Is it?
Oh, it's Perron.
Perron.
It's okay. Like one of our first band practices, we were like, okay, let's just clear this up now. How do you pronounce your name? Because we are all mispronouncing everyone's names.
No.
Dude, I was like, oh, Bella Perron. Like, I thought it was Perron.
I just tell people to call me Roxie.
Ashley Suppa.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, because last names, I think Slash had it right from the beginning. Just do the one word name, Seal, Slash, Sting,
Right.
You know, so I just go with Roxie. I just tell people to call me Roxie. But do you find that sometimes it's easier just to call people by their first names, but does that lower the credibility? Like, would you ever say, you'd always, if you were doing an interview with, let's say, Eddie Van Halen, would you say Eddie Van Halen, or would you just say Ed or Eddie? You know?
I don't know. I feel like he's a legend. So
yeah,
I would always go by full name, but he also seemed like he was so down to earth. So I don't know.
And how is the experience touring with Wolfgang?
Oh my God, it was amazing. And it was so exciting too. That was like our first tour to be with him. And he was, you know,
both bands exploding at that point.
Exactly. You know, I feel like once Distance came out, he's just been up and up. And his whole band and crew were so nice to us. And it was so cool to see. They're just insanely tight live. And it was definitely inspiring for one of our first tours to like watch them play and definitely take notes on like stuff like how they interact with each other and their transitions, and all of it was so seamless.
Great. Well, speaking of how to interact with each other, as musicians, I know there's some good practice habits that you guys must have instilled over the years. Do you have any sort of practice tips, anything that keeps you guys, that you can pass on to our listeners that are aspiring to do the same thing that we all are, just being able to play music for a living? What sort of practice tips or what sort of practice habits do you guys have even today when you're on the road?
Definitely when I warm up, I like to just run through scales and all of the major modes with the metronome, because I feel like that definitely like helps my like right hand lock in before playing live. And definitely too, something I didn't really get into until we were recording the album, which I wish I learned sooner, was like practice playing your rhythm parts to a metronome, because I always save the metronome for learning how to play fast or only doing lead stuff, but figuring out how to play in the pocket with it is just
Is the metronome on your phone, or is it a separate metronome? What's your metronome endorsement?
It's on my phone, so but I, like, always put my phone on do not disturb, like, another tip too, if you're using your phone, because I will get distracted easily.
Right on. Moriah?
Yeah, that's a great tip. I would agree with that. I mean, it's so important to really just, like Bella said, I mean, like, practice in the pocket. I mean, it's just, and then it'll just become like, you know, it'll just feel more natural to you, and you know, you'll be more on time. And also, like, this sounds really, you know, cliche, but I feel like it's really true. Like, you have to stick with it. Like, don't just get frustrated and be like, oh, well, I'll just pick this up next week. Like, just stick with it, sit with it, see what happens. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
Very
Or
nice.
just
so
to, like, try to aim for, like, learning something that excites you, so even when it is
yeah,
something tedious, it feels like you're making progress and you're getting there because it's something you wanna be able to play.
Well, you know
100%.
what? You guys are inspiring me right now. Mike Usnick said I was taking notes, and I am taking notes because, to be honest with you, I'm going to go download a metronome app when we finish this podcast, because I'm going to start doing that in my sort of pre-show ritual, because I think it is important. And I when I first started playing guitar, I used a metronome. In fact, I used the old school ones that would go back and forth. Metronomes, folks, have been around for years and years, and I don't know who came up with the metronome. That's a good.
That's a good
De-
question.
Definitely before 77. It was
Yeah,
probably
who's Mr. Metronome? I want to know.
1577. I don't know. But okay, so now that we are talking about equipment, is there any sort of equipments that you guys are endorsed with currently that you'd like to give a shout out to? I always give shout out to my string companies, which is D'Addario and D'Addario, and depending on what side of the country you're from. And we are actually having D'Addario strings and that sort of merch, used D'Addario strings, being sold at the merch stand at all these Alice Cooper shows. So shameless plug for me and my merch, but maybe it's a good idea for you guys to
That
think
is
about selling used strings at the shows.
Yes.
that's
Huh?
super cool.
I've actually thought about making, like, because I love jewelry working and stuff. So I've actually thought about, like, doing, like, the, you know, like, making jewelry out of
Yeah.
my used guitar strings. I've thought about that because I really
That'd be
like that
so
idea.
cool.
I'm too busy wearing the Unchained stuff, which is actually blowing up everywhere. That's Johnny Grippark's company over there, so we love them as
Oh,
well.
that
So,
looks so
Oh,
cool.
super
so what amplifier and guitar companies would you guys like to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, I'd love to give a shout out to Laney Amplification. I use both of us use the Ironheart half stacks, and it's a huge part of our live sound. And I just love how versatile they are. And then Ibanez Guitars, DiMarzio pickups, which I was most recently endorsed by. I'm thrilled to be like a part of their team, and then SIT strings as well.
Very nice, very nice. And Moriah, any others, or are those about covering them these days?
Yeah, I mean, as Bella said, Laney amplification. I agree; it's a huge part of our live sound, and it's the amps really are so versatile. I mean, you could play anything on them. And I would like to give also a shout out to ESP Guitars. Those are my homies. I love them, and I love ESP Guitars. Yes, SIT strings. Also Fishman pickups. I love them.
Great acoustic pickups and stuff as well. Yeah,
love Fishman pickups. I also just recently got endorsed by Fishman, and I'm not endorsed by this company, but I really love them because I just ordered custom picks from them, and I know that Hailstorm also uses these.
I ordered them too, like last night.
Oh, you did from Intune. Yes, girl. See,
I'm so excited.
Yes, Intune guitar picks. I love them. I love how they feel. They're thick, heavy. I mean, these picks right here. Where is it? The camera. These picks right here.
Love that.
They are so they're super super thick, and
I'm
so excited
I'm
for
trying
them
to
to
look for
come
my
in. They're
picks
gonna-
now too.
Bella, you're gonna freaking love these.
I have to give a shout out to Omega Picks, because we just had a whole new. Hold on one second. I'm gonna go ahead. You guys show them your picks. Hold on.
But yeah, definitely. If anybody wants custom guitar picks, I recommend Intune because I love their picks, and you can yeet them far as hell.
I gotta practice for the next run. I feel like all my picks make it maybe 2 feet. So that's the mission for the next tour.
I hate when they don't, when it's like you're so confident and then they just like don't go past the barricade.
I feel so bad too when I go to like throw out a set list and it doesn't make it past the barricade, and it's like I hype the crowd up so much.
I know, right? It's so embarrassing. I'm like, oh damn. Then everyone's just looking at you like, really? Y'all couldn't throw a pass there?
Well, we're going for total pick endorsement, and you guys were hyping up in tune. I've got to hype up the boys and Jerry Pardue at Omega, because this is one of my favorite new ones that's out there right now that he's putting together.
Oh, awesome.
That's Team Jennifer.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And then another one is the official In the Trenches guitar pick. So there you go, folks.
Oh,
you can
I
screenshot
want one
that.
of those.
All right, I'm going to save them for you, and hopefully we will be on the same stage anytime soon.
Yes,
but
awesome.
Yeah, man, it's been great having you guys on, man. Let's have you guys on back, or maybe while we're on the road, when we're doing leg 2, we can do like a quick tour catch up, and we'll catch up on your tour while we're out on tour, and we can be pals that way.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, well, next week's guest on In the Trenches, so everyone that's paying attention right now, will be Mick Box from the band Uriah Heep. And there he is, Mick. So I'm not sure if you guys have played any shows with Uriah Heep yet, but great rock and roll band, classic, maybe a perfect band to go out in Europe with, because huge following everywhere. And I look forward to having Mick Box on the Trenches. But guess what? We've been here with Moriah and Bella from the band Plush. Does it feel weird to say that maybe you're one of those breakout PPD post-pandemic bands? I mean,
yeah, it's definitely very weird except for Moriah, all of us were in high school at the beginning of the pandemic. I was just finishing senior year. So to go into the pandemic, like still in high school, and then mid-pandemic, I did a year online at Berkeley, and then, we're able to start touring. So then it's just been on the road. So it's such a weird transition, but I'm so grateful for how everything's worked out. It's really just been such an incredible experience.
Great. There's a raging debate, by the way, of the origins of the metronome. So going on in our live chat right now, some people are saying it was that was invented in the 1600s. Others are they actually had a name there. It was in the 1800s. So you know what? In order to be part of any of this type of debate and any type of this conversation and Discord, we would love for you to be on the YouTube official channel, and you can do that by just punching the subscribe button that's right under Bella right there. And of course, if you're listening to us on an audio broadcast, thank you very much. But make it over to Ryan Roxie Official on YouTube and start telling your friends parting words that you have, because you have already given us a lot of inspiration with the practice tips. Like I said, I'm going to go out and get a metronome on my app right after this podcast is done and start practicing with it. But words to live by with life, and how to get through it, and how you guys have sort of had this perseverance and dedication to rock and roll. Any sort of words that you live by, maybe it was given to you by your parents or someone that you look up to, or you just came up with it yourself, that you can pass on to our listeners?
Man, I'm trying to think of like stuff we've heard from touring, but just kind of overall, I guess, especially for pursuing music and stuff, just it's so important to go with your gut and go for something you're passionate about. Especially like just thinking back of like all this happened for me, because I felt like a really strong urge to respond to this ad, even when I really wasn't expecting it to go anywhere. And it was just kind of a gut instinct to at least try, because you never know what could happen from just reaching out to any opportunity.
And that responding to that one ad has led to all this touring and all this really good groundwork that's setting you guys up for a really exciting year ahead. Moriah, do you have any advice for our listeners?
Yeah, I think what Bella said was great advice. One of my biggest things that I always, say to myself is also follow your gut, because honestly, I mean, when you start to trust yourself, I mean, it's just, I've never been personally led astray, by trusting my gut. There's never been a negative outcome from that. You know, like your soul knows deep down, I think. And, also like Bella said, I mean, just take opportunities. I mean, you have to, even if you don't know or think that anything will come of it. I mean, take opportunities, because that's how we all got here. And just like, also I think like be open to constructive criticism also, because it can really change your trajectory and really change how you operate for the better, So I would say that too. And just keep persevering, because there are going to be times when you're like, oh, this is not going to work. And if you say that, then it's not going to work. So you got to keep going, which sounds cliche, but it's really true.
I'm going to say it, and I hope I'm right when I say it. Moriah Formica.
Yes, correct.
And Bella Perron.
Yeah.
Got him most right.
Bella Pepperoni.
Moriah and Bella. We got Moriah, Bella, and Ashley and Brooke, who make up the band Plush. But we've had Moriah and Bella here all day in the trenches. I want to thank you guys one last time for coming on the show. Everybody else, again, Mick Box on the. Oh my God! Now there's a huge thing about.
Amazing.
We found Mr. Metronome.
You're going to have to literally have a whole podcast about the metronome now. But
let's write a song about it.
No, there's a song about the metronome. We love it. See, all these good things happen. The band is called Plush. The new single is out right now, Better Off Alone. Look out for more singles and more touring coming out from this up-and-coming band. And we're going to catch up somewhere down the road. Hopefully, we'll catch up on the same stage, and we will be on a bill sometime really, really soon. Until next time, folks, I'm Ryan Roxie. You've been listening to Plush in the Trenches. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the ride. Cheers, guys.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.